Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Audio Logs. This time we're joined by Wenske and Chris Rickwood of Team Audio as they join us to talk about their latest work, The Killing Stone, developed by Question. Full transparency here, Dom and I also work at Team Audio, but we haven't worked on this project, and we both were extremely curious about the work that's been put into this game. So join us as we pick the brains of our good friends Kat and Chris, and we really hope you enjoy this episode.
So we're here to talk about The Killing Stone. So y'all worked on it. Y'all did a great job on it. It sounds super threatening. The whole time I was playing it, it felt like I was passing a kidney stone.
Aw, that's the sweetest thing.
No, there's truly some like bleak, ugly, and I mean that in the best way possible, bleak, ugly sounds in it.
I mean, have you seen me?
You're the complete opposite of bleak and ugly. I'm sorry. Do not say that.
Yeah, but hear me out.
What is this?
Uh-oh.
This is Gertie.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
She's a horse.
Okay.
That is always full of surprises, right?
We got this for The Killing Stone. She's
Really?
been part of our inspiration, and she's
Gertie.
she's great.
What
She's
animal was she
smiling.
before being...
A horse.
A horse, okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
It always comes off looking smaller than it is. Those things are
That's
big.
massive.
Like
I guess
the
if you
skull.
think about it being a horse, I'm like, yeah. Horses are
on
massive.
camera. It doesn't look
It's like the
as
donkey in
impressive.
Shrek.
Maybe it is.
Oh.
So is that real? How do you buy
Yes.
this?
Real.
Oh.
Where do
It's
you
broken.
go? So you use this to record stuff for The Killing Stone?
Yes.
Oh,
Gertie
so
likes being part of things. Come on,
You
man.
named it too, Gertie.
You gotta be authentic.
Yeah.
So where did you just go to your nearest horse place? I know there's a real name for that. I'm sorry.
A horseshoery.
A horse place.
Go to the horse
Like the
place.
stable. I need that skull, so we're gonna murder this horse
Yeah.
real quick and like pull the meat
Like,
off of
you,
it.
sir, let me feel your skull. Exquisite.
Is this one close to being
Sounds
dead
really
yet?
good.
Yeah. This look at your skull. Looks like it'll sound amazing.
Oh.
Haven't you ever said that to someone before? You know, I was talking to
no,
my
I
fellow
haven't.
the other day, and I was like, "You have a good skull," and he's like,
Don't murder me, please.
"Can you not?"
I mean, I guess people do have nice skulls.
Some
I mean,
people have nice skulls, but like
it's hard to see that
some
through all the
don't.
skin and
You
hair.
just gotta
and-
like. Sometimes you just gotta feel it, you know?
Right, you got to feel it.
Yeah.
Feeling is part of understanding if it's a.
Yes.
You got to like
That's
get
how
in
you
there.
get
yeah.
close to people. Can I feel your skull?
It's a terrible pickup line, by the way.
Yeah,
Is
Not that
it?
I
I
know.
think it's
Or the
not
greatest.
great.
I think it could be stellar.
Yeah.
We should test this out.
Mm,
I'm sure it's got its
no.
audience.
To anyone listening, wait a few dates before you ask to feel someone's skull. I think.
Well, I mean, if you want to play the numbers, there's probably at least one out of, I'm going to say 100. We'll probably dig it. It's like our
True.
final.
Dr.
True.
Love right there. He's got the numbers.
Yeah. So you got to take 100 shots. You'll find.
Yeah.
You'll find the one.
Feel it out first.
Yeah.
No, don't
Feel
actually
it
feel it out
out.
first, but the situation, metaphorically,
intended.
feel it out. Maybe they're not into that. Yeah.
I mean, like really, truly, skulls are amazing. Like you can tell someone's ethnicity and their age and their gender. It's just all from like the skull structure.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Fascinating human beings, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Think
You can
about
also
it, Dan.
you get all that info also from like driver's license or like any.
A horse doesn't have a
Simple.
driver's license.
They don't?
Just saying.
Or like talking to them. Yeah, you can get that.
No.
Yeah, true.
Okay, I mean, whatever. Sure, skulls are the best.
It's a lot easier to ask for someone's driver's license on a date than feeling your
That-
skull. So
That to me seems more shady, asking for someone's driver's license. Because then
Versus
it's
letting
like,
you
oh, they
snatch.
want my address. They want to know my actual
true.
age.
Yeah, no, you're right.
What is it that they want to know? If I'm a donor,
Yeah.
just feel
Are
my skull.
you?
Just feel my skull.
I am a donor. I don't need these.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna need
If
them.
you,
Because
if
your
you play
skull,
the
I mean,
numbers, probably
I have a
1
big
out of
skull.
100 will like that you asked for their license. Just throwing that out there.
Who? What?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. 1 in 100 will like that. That
Like
you asked
1
for
out of
license. That
100
might be
people
a
will probably like being asked to see their license.
yeah.
Just like 1 out of 100 would like you to feel their skull.
Be like,
People
"Ooh,
are different, man.
finally
let's
someone
try to
asked me about my
segue this
license."
into something somewhat related to this episode and also to driver's license and skulls.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
the hell is that?
Since we can't feel anyone's skulls virtually like this,
Do it.
who wants to go first and give a bit of a presentation of how they got into games and working in sound and like up to here, like that kind of stuff? You know, that
Yeah,
for our for the people listening that don't know you guys like we do.
that don't know your skull.
How long
Describe
is
your
this
skull.
episode?
As long as you want it
The
to
year
be.
was 1973.
Doesn't have to be that exhaustive. Come on. It's not a
Yeah,
skull
what was
session,
your
you know?
yeah? What was your first foray into this, whatever this is? You know, like audio. Is it into games? What led you? What was that spark?
Spite, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah,
Nice.
so originally, as many firstborns in the U.S., Asian folks, I'm supposed to become a doctor. Thought that was supposed to be my career path. Never thought outside of that until college. Then OChem happened, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm really bad at this. And then calculus happened, and I was like, oh no. And physics happened. I'm like, well, but my
Maybe I'm not
parents-
Asian.
Yeah. I might be the wrong Asian type. Like, hold on. But my parents were like, nope, this is what you're going to school for. And then my junior year, my boyfriend, now husband, was like, hey, you want to make some music and sound for this game I'm working on? And I'm like, yeah, because I play piano like many other
Good,
Asian
good one.
people do. Like, what are you saying? And I loved it. It was the
Right,
wildest thing for someone that is so used to having grown up in a very controlled environment and asked to make music. It's so, for someone that doesn't do music, it seems like it should be an easy thing, but it's not. Because when you play traditional music, it's already organized. It's right in front of you, and you play what you see. You can interpret it, yada, yada. But when you're composing something, you're pulling at all these random-ass ideas and trying to, like, gel them together into something that's coherent. And there was something intoxicating about that. And then you have the whole sound design aspect. And I'm like, well, I don't know how the hell to do that. So I bought like the cheapest mic I could find at Guitar Center, and I got my staplers and was using those as guns and hitting pots and pans against my washer and dryer and stuff. And it was so different. I had never done anything like creative before. And I was like, oh no, what's happening? Because by my junior year, I had switched my majors to psychology and child learning and development because I wanted to go into child psychotherapy or research. And at that point, my parents had like stopped talking to me because they're like, yeah, this is not what we want. It's like, that's fine. And there was that fear of like, oh no, did I actually find the thing that I want to do instead? So then I started helping other student projects, and I graduated still with my psychology and child learning and development degree, and got an internship at Gearbox and worked on Borderlands 1. And that was my first time ever playing an FPS, which was horrifying because no one told me any of the cheats in the game. And I'm like, well, I guess this is my life now. So that was extremely exciting.
Right. That's such a jump to go from working
Yeah.
on some student projects to never sounding like you
Absolutely.
recording your own music and that kind of thing, and then
it was pretty terrifying. I will say, like, I'm a very intense person, as you guys know, like, in working with me. And if there's something that I'm like, oh, you said I can't do this, well, watch me, bitches. And that's very much my personality. So I pushed a lot to make a space for myself. And I think that to me is one of the big things at Team Audio that I want to make sure that I'm doing. I want to create space for others that might not necessarily know that there is space for them.
Hell yeah.
Because the ideal scenario is you're trying to give people a better future than you had trying to get into the industry. So,
well, once you were like in the quote unquote industry, that being you had that job at at Gearbox, I imagine it didn't just all sort of magically be like, oh, I have this job and now all is good. I mean, was it tough those beginning days? Were you learning a lot?
Yeah. So I will say this was during a time period where the industry is a lot different than it was back in those times. So that is the most polite way I can frame it. The most polite way I can frame it. And during that time, I was very quiet, very quiet. I was not very vocal about my opinions. And it was very much I want to make sure I have a job. How can I continue to blend in this environment, or at least stay in the background so that I can have a secure spot? But there's so much that you can learn just by watching others and being in the trenches, and also trying to figure things out on your own, and also out of spite, just being able proving not only to others but to yourself, like, oh yeah, this is something that's feasible. One of the things that I find the most frustrating with a lot of students is a lot of people think after they graduate, especially if they go to school for games, they assume that they're going to immediately get a job in the industry, and that's not the case. Yeah. Same thing with having a job in the industry. You're like, okay, I'm secure. I'm going to be able to find another gig right after this. That's not always the case.
Yeah. Just having the job and then just keeping the job.
Yeah, because I actually, after my internship ended, there was a potential for me to stay there, and I chose not to because I did not want to. At the time, an extremely green thought. Like, I did not want to be stuck working on an FPS forever. Lo and behold, they're still working on Borderlands, which is fine.
Right.
But I wanted to explore more and see what other types of games there were. And so I left and had a long stretch of, like, not finding a gig. And I was like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah.
And so I think that's always going to be the forever struggle. Like, what have I done? There's always opportunities in the future, and that's kind of what we forget when we're stuck in the mindset of, oh no, this is the end.
Yeah, that's a bold move to, get a gig like that, which, is a good gig. It's something that a lot of people aim to get, and then just be like, nah, you know what? I want to try something else.
I'm really thankful for my time there. Like, I learned a lot, and the people there are very talented. But I was searching for something else.
So in that time where you were trying to find something else, what kept you occupied? Did you like anime? Just watched anime until the next job came around, right?
A lot of it was, I don't know. I think a lot of it was just self-perseverance, because none of my friends were in that industry. So I didn't really have anyone I could ask and be like, is this normal? Is this okay? And I had a lot of family that was like still telling their coworkers like, oh, she's going to go back to school to become at least a nurse. So the people that hypothetically should be your pillars of support, when they're not there, it kind of bites. So there's an amount of perseverance that I'm thankful to have, to where I'm like, you know what, fuck all of you, I'm gonna do this anyway. I'll figure it out.
Did you ever reconsider the psychology route?
I did. So when I first wanted to do child psychotherapy, it's essentially being a therapist for kids, and then realizing like, oh no, kids are extremely sad, and I am a very high empathy person, and I have a hard time separating from that. And I think I'd be a very great therapist, but I would be so wrecked. So I did think about going back and doing like research, because that was the secondary thing I wanted to do. But again, I wanted to prove to others, hey, this thing that I am risking and trying to do is worth it.
Okay. And this led you to Team Audio after? Like,
no.
What happened in between?
From there, I went to Gleek. From
Okay.
Gleek, I went to King's Isle. From King's Isle, I went freelance. From freelance, I went to Team Audio.
Cool.
Okay.
Gleek. What does Gleek sounds familiar? I don't.
Yeah, so
post-production?
Gleek was a small collective of audio folk as well. I think there was like maybe about 4 or 5 of us at the time. In fact, I worked with Chris on Age of Empires Online during that time, which was kind of wild to like eventually connect. And my boss there, Matt Pearsall, I ended up working with him again at Certain Affinity. In fact, I recognized that he was there because the office I was in, I'm like, smells like Matt. And he like popped out. He's like, "Hey, Muffin." Yeah, he was there.
Distinct smell. Okay.
A very good smell. He wears really nice colognes.
You would know. Yeah. You would
And
know
it's
he
just a
smells
wild
nice.
thing to realize, like, oh, my nose has logged this scent and cataloged it, and it's like, oh, it's this person. That's wild.
Right. Well, that leads us so well to Chris. So yeah, you worked together on that Age of Empire Online, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
What
You want to
led
start
you
from
there?
there or earlier? Because
Start from wherever you. I'm kind of curious how when you started playing music. Actually, I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Out of the womb.
I think like most people, or not most people, like a lot of people, I started in band. I had choir in 5th grade. I think you guys call it grade 5. And then when I went to middle school, I started playing trumpet. And then in high school is actually when I started, like 9th grade, I started or I wrote a piece for a percussion ensemble to just take to the solo ensemble contest. And I didn't even play percussion, but my best friend was like a snare drummer. So I was like, we should do this. This will be fun. It'll be hilarious. No idea what I was doing. Like I stole it all, right? Like there was already a solo and I just kind of wrote like 3 other parts for it. But like we got a superior on it. We ended up going, this was in Texas. So we ended up going to Austin for the big state solo ensemble contest. Got a superior there. And like in the little judge's notes, it said like, good job on the charts, Chris. And, I like affirmation.
Yeah.
I like
you need a bit of it.
I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah.
But it was also like, I realized I was like, oh, so like you could just write things and you don't have to perform them. And you still kind of get the same satisfaction as in the same kind of appraisal or praise. So like that was interesting to me because it was different. It was different from what everybody else was doing. They were all doing bands and I was doing that too. And I was all right at it. But that like really interested me. And I was, into film scores and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up going to college for it.
Right. So you
got a degree in theory.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I got my degree in theory. Guess there's no jobs for that. So I went and got my master's at North Texas. And while I was in North Texas, I was reading this magazine called Electronic Musician. Remember magazines? Like magazines were these periodicals every month.
Magazines?
They would print out.
They're like paper, right?
This booklet you could read and hold. There's one called Electronic Musician, which I kind of miss. But it had a big article about like the old LucasArts guys doing, the Grim Fandango and those games, which I loved. I grew up on or loved at the time. And I didn't realize they were interactive. But I was on the track to, be a film scorer. Or that's kind of what I wanted to do because I was super into movies. But then I read this article and I was like, oh, I play games, but I've never really paid attention to that as a career. And, at the time we're talking, this was like mid 90s. So things were played off of like the Sound Blaster or off the computer chips. So they weren't great sounding, right? being the arrogant youngster, was like, I shall bring real orchestral music to the video game industry, and then started my path of like, I am going to conquer this thing, not knowing like the technology couldn't handle it.
Right.
Like it was purely like, but that was my thinking was like, oh, these people have never heard real music. By the way, they have like the stuff in like the, Michael Land and Peter McConnell, all those guys, they were like, very schooled and very, very good, composers, obviously.
Yeah.
And the technologies wasn't there. But anyway, so in this magazine, I digress. In this magazine, there was like in the back, it had the addresses of like Electronic Arts and what was the other one? EA was in there, and like Virgin Games, I think. And it said like, we're looking for composers, like send us your demos. So that would never happen now. But like back then, they needed people because they didn't know, it was a small industry and nobody knew what they were doing. So I had a little floppy disk of MIDI files that I sent along with a cassette tape of really bad music, sent it to all of them. Eventually, I got a call back, and it was from Tommy Tallarico. And he was like, hey, your stuff's good. I could tell like the writing's there, but the production's awful. I was like, yeah, I know. It's off of a sound blaster.
Yeah.
Recorded on a 4-track tape. And I don't know what I'm doing. I do know how to write because I've done a lot of school. But he was like, just keep in touch. So I kept in touch with him. And then I read another magazine later. This was like 99. That he was doing Evil Dead, Hail to the King. And I was a huge fan of the Evil Dead series with, Bruce Campbell. So in that article, it talked about, this actually might have been online actually. It talked about him using like live choral, like live chorus or live choir and live orchestra. So it's like, production doesn't matter because it'll be recorded. So I wrote him again. It's like, hey man, I'm a huge fan. Can I send some tracks? And he's like, yeah. So I sent him like 3 tracks and he liked them. So they ended up getting recorded by, I think, the Budapest Orchestra and choir, and got released. And that was my first game. Came out in 99. I think THQ was the publisher. For
Right,
Dreamcast,
99.
PC,
I didn't realize you
PS1.
had your first game credit in 1999.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. For a century now.
Polite, Dom. So polite.
So you're on the way out, right? So I'm in AARP, right? Like, anyway. So yeah, that was my first credit. Yeah, go ahead. You have a question?
Do you have AARP? Can we get those discounts?
Well, we could. I think I am. But here's the thing. Anybody can be a member of AARP. You don't have to be over 50.
Those are just
And
letters to me. I actually don't know what that is.
Oh.
It's like this, it's meant for like something retirement people. I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's an American
But it's
thing.
it's kind of known for like this association for seniors, like senior citizens.
Yeah.
It gets you discounts on a lot of things.
American Association of Retired Persons.
I got one word right.
Right. Okay. Well.
But anybody can join it.
As
But
long
when
as
you
you're
turn
retired?
50 no, you don't have to be retired. You don't have to be
I'm
retired.
sorry,
tired from
I
reading this
derailed
book,
us.
so okay, good.
So when you turn 50, they instantly start mailing you. It's almost like a rite of passage. It's like, okay, I was okay with this until I got this.
That's scary.
Chris, do you still have some of those floppy disks? I
Oh,
want
yeah,
one.
I've got
Can
them
I have
all.
one?
Oh yeah,
That's so
yeah.
cool. Wait, so it's
Do you want,
floppy
like a blank one or
No, I want one with your stuff
oh,
on
my
it.
demos. I probably do. I'll have to look.
If
but
you
yeah,
have an
it's-
extra, otherwise
it's
I'd like to
really cool.
just hear it in general.
I'll bring it.
Can you
I
explain
could
to me
definitely
how
give you
it-
the MIDI files?
How this
So I
works?
have one
So you
on a CD.
so you just have MIDI files on a floppy disk.
Yeah.
And back then you would send that to somebody. You have no idea what they're running that MIDI through, really. I mean,
Exactly.
You're just sort of like
serious.
Well, I mean,
curious.
that was kind of the point. And I don't know if this was standard practice. Again, I was right out of school and I was an idiot. And there was no internet and there were no books on this. So you're just kind of winging it. And that's what
No
I loved about it.
standards.
Yeah. I love that. Like, it was like, nobody's doing this. So I'm going to pave my own way. So I sent the disc being like, hey, put this in your thing and play it through your sound blaster. And that's kind of that's how they write music, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it was
That's
brilliant.
so
I
interesting.
think.
I mean, like, it's an uphill battle. Like, it was an uphill battle back then, where you didn't have all these sort of resources you have now to sort of get your footing into things. It's just sort of like,
Yeah.
figure it out, kid.
A little bit, and but it was also smaller, so it was. I'm gonna say it was easier to get into. It wasn't really, but it felt like it because it was so kind of cutting edge and Wild Westy. You just kind of did the thing and hoped that you got lucky.
Right. Man, I thought that getting into the industry in 2020, and then you get into it and you realize, holy shit, actually there's so many people. This is not a niche thing at all. There's an army of sound designers doing the same thing.
It's a good point that, like, I forget that maybe the people listening might not remember what it's like prior to the internet or social media or an era before CDs and etc. Phones. Like, because even for me, there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't all these other ways that you can find people. So for me, I had a hard time finding individuals that I could reach out to and ask, like, hey, how should I do this? And also there weren't a lot of women in the industry. So there were no like individuals that I could look at and be like, that one looks like me. Let me see what their perspective is like. So it's nice seeing that the industry is slowly becoming more diverse and more inclusive, and that there's so many different people from various walks of life in our industry now.
It's not growing up all bad. There's some change that is positive in the industry. So I guess it's worth celebrating that and thinking about that, because we could easily look at the other side of the coin and be like, oh, it might have been better back then. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
After Evil Dead, what basically led you to the Age of Empire Online situation?
So that was I think 10 or 15 years later. But the way I met Gleek, I was working on a game called Kingdom Under Fire. Okay. And it was by Blue Side, and Microsoft published. And I was tasked to do both. This is a good story, actually. I was tasked to do music.
You're going for the buttons. Oh no.
I've had to hold him in because he's like, I gotta go. I can't keep it together anymore. I tried.
This story's so good.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a good cautionary tale. Okay. I was tasked to do the music and the sound design. There's a whole story, another story that I don't want to tell right now, but and I had a month to do it. A full-on like Xbox game, and this was like we put out like DLC. It was like it goes on a disc and that's the game, so it's very stressful.
Yeah.
So I was doing the music, and I'd hired, I think, Watson Wu to help me do like sound design. And like halfway through the month, checked in with the devs, and then I was like, I looked at the spreadsheet, and I was like, something feels wrong here. Like we have a lot more sounds left to do. And then I was like, oh no, I left out a whole row in my math in the Excel column. So there were like 500 sounds or something that were not part of my final. So I hadn't like planned it out correctly.
Right.
So we had done too little in the beginning, and now we had like almost 2/3 left. So I just started calling. No. I started calling people.
They started crying.
I started crying. I mean, there was definitely a panic attack. And my kids were young, and I remember like it was yesterday. So like I called, like I think Mark Kilborn was kind of the first person or one of them, and he was at doing like Project Gotham, and he was like, I can't do it, but you should meet Matt Pearsall. So he hooked me up with Matt, and I was like, dude, please help me. Like I was at my kid's soccer practice. I was like, I am dying over here. I have like this many sounds left. It's for this game for Microsoft. I don't know how much it pays, but please bail me out of this because I'm like in trouble, basically. And I think they had meetings about it, of whether or not to take me on, because it was a big ask.
Right.
But he did, and then he helped me. and then that grew into like once you become like Matt's one of those like charismatic kids that like you become friends, like you just talk to him and like all of a sudden you're best friends with him. Very funny, very charismatic. So we've kept up a relationship forever, and he was running Gleek, and whenever he needed some music, I would always be there, let me do some of this. And
Here's a floppy disk.
We can't read those anymore, Chris.
Let's jump forward in time a little bit.
Okay, we gotta move now. Okay, cool.
The year is
I want to bring up
20.
kidney stones again.
Okay, I'm going back to Age of Empires.
No, you can't. But then you can't cut out the beginning because it'll be like, what's the continuity on the kidney stone thing?
Right,
anyway, right. Continue.
Go for it. If you got a kidney stone fact.
You're like, I gotta pass one right now.
Be right back.
BRB, yeah. No, jumping forward to time to 2024, 2020. I have no idea when you started the Killing Stone, but the Killing Stone
Last year.
Last year, okay.
Yeah.
Which at the time of this recording is 2025. Can you talk? We're 2026. I know, crazy. Still computing that number. Yeah. So you're starting a Killing Stone. Can you talk about just sort of like those first days on the project, and talk a bit about like who this team is, where'd you meet them? Kind of curious about those first few steps.
Well, we were at a cemetery.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Stepping stones.
Okay.
Looking for fresh skulls.
As one does, right?
Yeah, you want a cute one, so you gotta check out the newest ones. You gotta see the newest models. So we actually
Trying to keep it in, but I can't. Yeah, okay.
We had never worked with Question before, but there was an individual whom we were trying to work with Team Audio several years back on a different project. And his name is Kane Shin. Super nice dude. Apparently we were passing ships because we worked at similar studio, or he was working at Redfly right before I transitioned to work at Gleek, and Gleek was subletting from Redfly and working on their projects. Kane left, and I never met him, I guess. But we shared a lot of similar stories. Super lovely dude. And he had always been advocating to try and get us onto one of Question's projects. And then later down the line, there was almost an opportunity for us to work together. THQ had some thoughts because they had their own team. It's like, oh, okay. And eventually, they came back to us. At that point, Kane had already left Question for family matters, and we were introduced to Michael Kelly, also known as Patches. And so Patches brought us on to kind of see if we'd be a good personality match. And Chris and I hopped onto the call and started talking about all these dark-ass things that could be really cool in the game. And they were like, all right, these two understand the vibe that we're looking for. And
right,
then,
yeah.
That was that.
Wait,
Yeah.
that conversation took place before you had the horse skull? Or
Yes,
after?
uh-huh.
Okay.
Before the horse skull.
Okay. So
actually,
you couldn't just pull it out and be like, yeah, we're a good fit.
You're hired, yeah.
I have some other
pulled
skulls
up
that I think
another
are really
bone.
cute. Did I bring those to the call? Like, this guy is really cute too.
You have another one, okay.
Yeah, I think this one is a
Another
a
one.
raccoon or a beaver. I can't remember. No, I think it's a raccoon. This is kind of cute. Like, look at this. Like,
Who's your skull dealer?
Yeah.
we don't call them that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Different sources. So sometimes,
Right, okay.
sometimes when I go travel, I look to see like what oddity stores do they have, and they're always the questionable things when I, fly back, and TSA is like, the fuck is this? Don't worry.
It's a bone
Don't
xylophone.
worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, our first call with their whole team, we did have Gertie at the time.
Okay.
And we brought out Gertie, and then there's that moment of panic of like, oh my God, is this too much? Is this too much? Like,
Right, yeah.
what have I done? And
We
then
hired those weirdos. Oh no.
they named Gertie. So we're like, all right, we're okay now.
Okay. Yeah, once they give it a name, it's all good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're not going to give it a cute name and not be cool with it.
They're a great studio. I think there's about maybe 15 or so folks there.
Right, okay.
18. very small team. They're very close. Everyone's remote, but many of them have worked together before on BioShock 2 and 3, perhaps.
Right. So that's the tone of this seems like there's a bit of a through line with BioShock. It sounds like there's a bit of a
There's
resemblance
a darkness
there.
for sure.
A darkness, yeah.
There's a darkness for sure.
Yeah.
We're really fortunate that we have so many super bright folks at TA. Because audio is such a specialized area. And it's nice to be able to collaborate with people that you're not beholden to a physical location. Because now we get to work with, our friends that live in Colombia or our Canadian neighbors or people over on the other side of the pond. And I think that alone helps make audio sound so much better. Because the way you might design a creature will be so different than how I design something. Will be different than how Andreas will design. Because especially for horror sounds different in different countries,
right?
Which is the coolest.
That's a super interesting, little thing. Yeah, what are people afraid of? I think because my girlfriend's a film director, and often when she's making stuff, the sound of like crows and stuff is something that it attracts her. She likes that sound, especially in a horror context. And I think she was working with an editor that was sort of like, oh well. But,
don't mind me. It's fine.
No, all good. There was an editor she was working with that sort of like said like, oh yeah, in certain cultures, crows are like the complete opposite, right? They're actually not scary. They're a bright sort of like full of life thing. So it's like, yeah, it's really interesting what you can do with horror because it's so much about diving into the psyche of the audience and sort of what scares them, and oftentimes it's not like gore, blood. Sometimes it's a psychological aspect where you're digging into their brain, digging into their skull to find.
Into their skull, their cute skull.
Yeah. But on that note, I'm kind of curious to hear more about this project, The Killing Stone, and what makes it super scary. Can you just give what were your roles on the project? For you guys, and I know there's some other people from Team Audio on the project as well. So yeah, can you break down like the team structure on it?
There was no team structure.
Chaos.
It was Kat and I were primary, right? So I was doing the music. Kat was doing all the sound design. I did a lot of the implementation. They had a programmer over there, Gretchen, who's like a martial art black belt.
Yeah, she's badass.
But also excellent programmer. So she built kind of the skeleton of the music system, and then I messed it up by putting all my stuff on top of it and extending it. But yeah, so that was primarily it. And then we used, I don't know, Kat could tell you who.
Eric Natera, Alex Mari, both helped us in the early stages of the project with some of the ambience and exploration there. And then Andreas Carmona came in towards the end to help with a lot of the creature figurines, which so glad he did. He's an excellent sound designer, and he did so much better than I would have done on my own for creatures. Creature vocalizations are hard.
Yeah, they are super hard. And it's a really unique thing with this game in that like the figurines are sort of inanimate until they are.
Yeah.
So how much do you lean into the toy aspect of it, or do you not lean into it? But they work super well. They're frightening little things. Can you just give a little bit of like what is the Killing Stone? Because I feel like we haven't really described the game very much other than it's horror.
We assumed everyone played. Stones.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to make sure I don't misrepresent. Let me pull up the description from the store.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Doing
it legit.
Yeah. Okay, stop the trailer.
Make sure you Killing Stone, not Kidney Stone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Killing Stone. Beat the devil at his own game. The Killing Stone is a deck-building card battler wrapped in a 17th century occult horror narrative. Clean the sins of a cursed family by bargaining against a series of demons and outwitting the devil himself. The Killing Stone.
Ta-da!
Nice. Okay. And I mean, we all know based on like there's going to be video and the edit and stuff, but we all know that it looks very grim. It looks spooky. It looks occult, all that stuff. But if we dive down into the aesthetics road, how does one design? It's okay. As I was playing, I was like, questions. It's so weird. It feels like even if you remove the music for a second, because the music does a lot to set the tone, but even the simple act of like moving the pawns around and just moving the cards around, I felt like things are oppressive and scary and just like menacing. It sounds like every time you pull a card, you shouldn't be pulling the card. You know, at the beginning when you sign the contract, it sounds like awful in a good way.
Haven't you seen me?
Yeah, well, again,
I'm oppressive.
How does one go about just making these sound that are like short, kind of mundane, and I guess very tactile, but they don't have, there's not a lot of room to set a tone in it. So I'm just wondering, like, can we talk about how'd you guys make it sound that way in general?
I mean, I'll talk a little bit. Kat could talk about the sound design actual, but we did have a plan in the beginning. So it wasn't actually necessarily supposed to be, like you were saying, there's different types of horror. Yeah. This wasn't a gore kind of game. This is very like psychological. The family is by themselves, isolated in Greenland, snowing. They're kind of alone. So we wanted this kind of a lone feeling, this isolation, like they would talk to a lot of people. They might be going a little bit crazy. We wanted everything really dry and there's like no reverb. And so that was almost our first direction was like, what if like all the characters just like put them down and it's very tactile and dry and there's no reverb layer. We ended up, doing more with that, but it started with whispers. So there's a lot of whispers in there coming from everywhere. And when you drop things, there's whispers. When you're holding the cards, there's whispers. So that was kind of the beginning of that was like, we wanted to sound like lonely, maybe oppressive, more of just like mysterious was definitely a tone we wanted to hit. All that was our initial plans.
Right, that desolate sound, but I almost feel like maybe it deviated from there because you lean into reverbs in that kind of
absolutely.
Yeah. We definitely.
Well, you quickly find out dry and desolate is very boring. So you're walking around the house and it's like, all right, we need something.
It's a cool kind of jumping off point. Even if like, hey, eventually we're gonna need some reverbs because reverbs are also spooky. At least starting from the point of view of desolate, dry. Did that inform something unique about how you began to design and make the palette?
Yeah, for sure. We started leaning a lot on physicality of things and trying to determine like what do we want to sound realistic versus what should sound a little more ethereal versus what should sound a little more demonic. And there's such a wide range with that because if you lean too far on horror, you're making a different type of game. So there's a fine line we were trying to balance of like, okay, we want it to sound spooky without being too like in your face. Here's all this grossness and gore and whatnot.
Right.
And leaning on that physicality and trying to like give little subtle messages of, especially with the whispers that, oh, you're moving these figurines and there's whispers because it's like you're breathing life into them and you're giving them a power to move.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's, not necessarily something that players may pick up, but it's a narrative that we, especially as sound designers, love. Like for me, you guys know this from working with me on projects, I'm very much about what is the storytelling.
Yeah.
When you're moving an object, what story are you telling? This light bulb, is this light bulb dying? Why is it dying? Is it because there's a fairy inside that's been deprived of like joy and yada yada, and so now it's like dying, and that's what's making that weird sound rattling inside it? And it's stuff that narrative doesn't necessarily need to write or players need to necessarily know, but it makes designing more fun and also makes everything have a little more flavor.
That's super interesting that you said, narrative doesn't necessarily need to write it. It's just like, it's part of our job is to tell the story that maybe narrative is not explicitly like by narrative, I mean narrative designers explicitly saying it's like, well, I get you. I get the story you're trying to tell. Here's a little bit of a undertone that supports that story.
Yeah.
Small details, and I like how you mentioned the light and stuff because there's that clock that's next to the basement. So in the manor, the smallest, I mean, you can easily just walk by and not think about it, but then if you sit there and listen to it, each little like tick sounds like a little bit of a knife stab or something. Sounds like it was very intentionally designed that way to sort of.
I think I do have a little bit of a knife in there, as well as like some mechanical bits that kind of rattle a little. So they're always like subtle, and they're things that as designers, we spend a little more time on than we should. But
it was
for that
too
one
good.
person,
Too good for a
one
clock.
person, they'll hear it and be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, you got me.
It sounds like having that, I guess, intention or like thinking about the narrative of that sound, even if it's not something that makes it in the official lore of the game to be like the life is stolen from the cards and goes in the ponds or whatever. But I'm wondering, like, is it something you used when recording? The stuff like you play with this intent of like, okay.
Yes, for sure. So the whispers actually, a lot of them are, I came up with like these Latin spells that are essentially like, that would translate to like breathe life into blah, or like I command thee and yada yada. But then the spooky side of me is like, oh no, I don't want to accidentally be doing something like that. So, so of course, like in editing, I'm like chopping it up and reversing things and like blah, blah, blah. But the intent is behind it. I like things like that make things difficult for myself, but I like having the intent behind the sound design.
A little Easter egg with the whispers. There's a section, I don't remember where I put this, but I recorded the names.
It's the cutscene.
It's in the cutscene, that's right.
Yeah.
I recorded the names of all the devs. Like I took them and just went down and was like, Bill, Fred, whatever. That's not their names.
Is it when you meet the dog and there's like...
Yeah.
There's like some whispering.
Right.
There's like a chant in there,
there.
it's all their names, but it's pretty chopped up. They might have been reversed and that kind of stuff. But it's a little like, your names are in this game, and you're probably going to be possessed by the devil now. So
Yeah.
I want to talk a bit about the ambiences because oftentimes I felt while playing this game, I was like, the music is rich. It's doing all this stuff. And then I would like play with the faders and see what's what. And I'm like, oh, wow, the ambiences are just like, they're filling in all this space. And it actually like, they work with music in that they felt like, it makes me think of like older games, like specifically Zelda dungeons back in the day where Koji Kondo, what he wrote was like, it's ambience, but it's music. It's like they're the same thing. And I really love that approach. I'm kind of curious, Chris, did you also do the ambience for this?
I did do a lot of the ambience. Yeah,
right,
that came from... So to back up, there's stages in the game where you go through, as you're going through the game, the lighting changes because you're going through time. And, one of our early thoughts was like, well, as that happens, we should change the sound. It should become more dark and et cetera, et cetera. It took a long time for us to get to that point. Just because it was in the back of our heads, but like we had so much other stuff that was more important to do. So it wasn't until like super late in the schedule and the ambience was still dry and a little boring. So I was like, all right, I gotta kick these things out. And I'm no sound designer, but I tell you what.
No, but it's cool.
I can make you a musical background.
Yeah.
And luckily, I did have the thought, like if you listen to the music I mean, we can go to the music a little bit because it kind of
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
There's a bed, and then there's all these little micro themes every time you talk to somebody that has a theme attached, and those have to kind of work together. So everything's somewhat in the same key. I will say, like, if any musicians, anybody here that has good relative pitch or perfect pitch, they're gonna absolutely hate this game because I did not stick to any kind of tuning really. Anyway, the music.
We should talk about that in a bit because I do have some notes on that.
Absolutely.
The music bed and those micro themes should kind of work together, even though they kind of duck each other. They work together as well. And then the ambience was an extension of that. It's like, I need to fill these spaces, and as it gets later in the day, I want it to feel more oppressive, a little more like, oh, the demons are watching us. I think that was a big theme. Was like, as you're playing, like the theme of the narrative was, as you're playing the board game, there's actually demons watching you, like observing this and seeing what's happening, what the outcome is. So we want to kind of introduce that through sound, and how can we make it sound like there's more activity, there's whispers in there. And I really like just took some music beds, but a lot of it was taking a lot of stuff that our sound designers did, and then running it through something else that would pitch it, and it was throwing it around all the speakers, and then I threw it through another thing that gave it some tuning, and there was a lot of processes just to get to where it is now, where it almost sounds living. And
It's a huge boon that Chris is very technically savvy, and as a composer, being able to understand like how can ambience blend with music, how do they work together. And it's not a luxury that we have like on all projects. So good job, you.
Yeah.
Good job, you.
Yeah, it's interesting because everything you're describing here makes me think, like, as I was playing the game, I played a few hours of it, and I tried to pay extra attention preparing for the interview today, being like, okay, let's listen to the use of music. And oftentimes I would sort of forget to listen to music and be like, is there music or isn't there music?
Yeah.
And this whole like diegetic versus extra diegetic stuff plays also with that, in the sense that like the whispers, like, is it just like external, or is it in the world? Is the music like, is this layer something that's happening in the house? Feels like there's so much that keeps you guessing all the time that it almost becomes irrelevant to think of what is in the world and what is not.
And that's part of the thing that we wanted to play with, it, the psyche of the player, of like, okay, how much of it is we are this far in our rituals that now what was considered specific to the board might have bled into the house itself.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
I could just be making that up
melting
right
right
now.
there.
So, whatever.
So cool.
It exists, yeah.
A lot of CAD sound design also is musical. So there's a lot of, I think even in the beginning we talked about there not being a real divide between what music is and what sound design is, especially in horror, right? You're kind of left to do whatever you want. So being able to say, like, is this sound design or is it music or is it both? Does it matter? That kind of stuff.
It's hard to make sound design without injecting some kind of tonality into it. What I'm finding for horror games specifically, because else they'll just fall flat and they'll feel like sounds that are meant for a more real world kind of thing. So you're kind of forced to go in that direction and compete with the music. And that's kind of cool that, if you are covering both those bases, you're really aware of those things. Yeah.
And again, that's how it started. In the beginning, we were like, this sounds super real. Like the rooms need to sound dead quiet and like very dry and small.
Too quiet.
It was like, okay, is there ambience? Because there's nothing going on. So putting that stuff in really brought the house to life, I think.
I think also, since Chris and I worked pretty closely together, we were also mindful of like, okay, in this moment, what should be more of the highlight? Okay, music should be more of the highlight here. I should tone back on like how some of these sounds are. Or it might be an area where it's like, okay, no, this makes more sense for sound design to be the thing that is your main attention. Okay, dialing them back there a little bit too.
Yeah.
Oh, pay me no respect, no obeisance before this empty ruin. What could you still owe me? It is enough that you are here. Though, perhaps not all of you.
Talking about sound and music, I feel like there's also a very big emphasis on voiceover in the game.
Oh yeah.
Not only in the fact that there's like the old-timey English and the modern English, but also in how it's processed and everything. Because once again, I felt like, am I hearing those voices in like my character's head, or is it like someone talking in a room? The way it's presented and everything and treated also feels like lots of reverb. It's almost, I don't know, the opposite of what you were describing, Chris, where like it's dry, they're alone in a manor. It's like, no, it's weird and what's going on?
Yeah. That was a tricky one because like we wanted to make sure to retain the performance of the actors, but also give it a little bit of an element that feels slightly different, where you're like, okay, maybe they're not here with me, or maybe they actually are a different type of being than what they're presented as.
Did you guys record with the actors as well?
We didn't handle the recording, but we handled the processing.
Okay. So I'm just curious, like, do you know if in the direction it was also like instructed to play that subtlety, I guess?
Yes. So Jordan, the narrative director, also did a lot of the direction with another director on the VO sessions, and he talked a lot about like the intention of how they should be speaking, and the actors did a phenomenal job. They spent a lot of time, especially making sure they understand the language and the pacing, because it's very, very deliberate. Almost like a stage play.
Right.
Yeah.
That must have been so tough for them to record the old English
Oh my gosh.
parts.
I'd be like, "Muh."
You should try playing the game, reading it in like the modern English, but hearing the period English. It'll like
It's
it messes with
I
your
think that
brain.
would just break my brain.
Like, for me, it felt weird because I knew about the two English languages you could pick. I picked modern because like French is my mother's tongue, so I'm like, obviously I'm not going to go with the traditional Old English.
Yeah.
Then I started like the demon character at the beginning of the game starts chatting with you, and I was just like, wait, is there a bug?
What
and
is
that's
he
the
saying?
old timey English? Because even this one feels like
So
it's
true. Yeah.
like
yeah.
I get it, but I feel like there's something off for like my second language here. Swapped it, and I was like, oh, I don't understand anything. This is Latin almost.
If it helps you, English is my first language, and there'd be times where I'm reading the text, I'm like, oh my god, is this what this
Well, that
means?
word,
Is
what
this
is
what this means?
Well, it feels like lots of it is like it saves itself because of the genre, because it's like the vibes are there and the way it's delivered. You're like, I get what you're saying. I'm not getting everything, but
Yeah, almost like if
I
you're
get
in the
it.
dark.
It's threatening.
Yeah.
If you're in the dark about the meaning of things, it still kind of works. It's still it almost adds to the creepiness in some sort of way.
Yeah, it feels like when I go to like a tech meeting, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are saying,
It's
but
so interesting.
I got
I have
little
no
bits
idea.
and
Yeah.
pieces of something like cool, gang, cool.
Yeah. Well, just waiting for that old French DLC delivery.
Oh,
Just for you,
that
Dan.
would be delicious.
Yeah.
I do like they're doing Loke. I guess they're not doing
Yeah.
local Loke. That would have been interesting to see what that would be like.
That's actually
Oh, and
super. Yeah.
I think
fascinating.
German would be really beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
Just German, not even old German.
No,
Just normal German.
just German. it's already a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
Dan's
cool.
already translating it in his head.
No, I'm trying to go like, because the game's set in Greenland, right?
Yes.
Old.
Greenlandist.
Old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it?
They
Yeah.
speak Danish and they speak other
Yeah.
languages. They speak a native language there as well. Hey, lot of work to do for the Loke
be
team,
cool.
that's for sure.
I know.
Yeah, so moving on, I want to talk a bit about like the recordings you guys did for this, because there's always like there's a lot of little unique moments. Like, I mean, okay, I'm just gonna say it: petting the cat, petting the dog, petting the raven bird. Yeah, did you record a lot of your own stuff for that? What was the process there?
Some of them are recordings that I've done. Some of them are a mix of things. Some of it's like actually scratching on skin and slapping your belly is a
Aw.
the belly is actually what is
Okay.
what's his face is
A dog?
No, it's the fingers of the devil.
Oh, when he goes like.
when he's on the table and stuff.
That's my belly, gang.
I was wondering what kind of fingers he was like. I don't know. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Like, eat a burger, slap that belly.
I gotta record. Yeah.
Oh man.
Fill up my phone
Nothing
with
says horror like a belly slap with burgers.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's gonna scare me
just
the
the
next time I
usual.
play it.
Yeah.
It's
normal.
But you slapping your
but
belly.
some of the animal scratchies, where I needed a little more texture and didn't quite have the texture I wanted, was actually I had edited a recording of someone scratching their beard.
Oh, as I'm scratching my beard right now. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very
Could have been you,
like
man.
crunchy sound.
Could have been me. Hey,
So
next
Yeah, I
time you
should've
need
just
to
asked.
pet a dog or pet a
Scratch a
porcupine.
or slap a belly.
Yeah.
Wait, so potato is not coarse enough for the.
He's
those
not.
guys? Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean I guess he's a little coarse, but he's actually kind of soft.
You
But
can
he's also
slap the
kind
belly
of
the
like
potato too.
I could.
For-
I think he's
for-
in the game too.
For
I
viewers
hope
of
so.
this, potato is cat's dog, not
Oh, yeah,
potato
sorry.
potato.
Insert
You know,
insert
just a
picture.
regular potato. Just a regular. You know,
It's not a
I
potato
was-
for a dog.
I have had people be confused because I'll be like talking about potato and they're like, "Hold on, is this like your roommate?" I'm like, "Yeah, technically," and they're like, "Okay." And what's his problem? I'm like, I don't know. He like farts and blah blah blah. And like, it's not later until the conversation that we both realize, like, hold on, we have not established this is a dog.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would you call him a roommate? I'm like,
You pick up your
that's kind of what
mini
he
roommate.
is.
It's a roommate of the canine sort.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be like, he's my friend, and they're
I
like,
don't like labels, man.
like, you could say he's your dog. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but he's my friend.
He's more
Sorry.
than just your dog.
He's my friend.
Aw.
Best friend.
He is 14 and a half. He'll be 15 in, I guess more than a half now. He'll be 15 in July. He's really trying.
Which July what? Do you know
Trying.
the day?
Yeah, July 22nd.
Oh my god, my birthday's July 21st, so
Oh, you guys can celebrate together.
we can celebrate together.
Who's older?
I'm pretty sure I'm older, but those
Never know.
those dog
Potato's
years
been in
catch up
many
on you.
games. He was also in the Force Unleashed 2. He was one
Okay.
of the creatures. Yeah, we like picked him up and like jostled him, and he was like, he's one of the monsters. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, that's so cute.
The star.
All right, business time. We're gonna keep on moving on to other things here.
Yeah.
Back to the music. I do want to hear about how you recorded this weird instrument that you've recorded for this, but I'm also just curious about like themes, thematic material. I feel like sometimes for horror and or games that rely on vibe, melody is a sort of a elusive thing. Like, what was your approach? Actually, I'm going to back up. How did you start concepting for this? Did you go right for the weird sounds, or did you approach a piano with melodies? What was the?
It was a journey.
This is where all the composers are going to roll their eyes. Like, here we go with the method. But there was a little bit of thought in the beginning. I
in
will
a
say, like,
coffin.
composing in general. Let me unbutton.
Yeah, one button. Yeah.
There was in the beginning. There was a little bit of planning, and the plan was the family would use just traditional instruments and be solo and have a thing. So they all each have their own motive every time you talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was supposed to be of the time, kind of folky. But then you have the demons who are weird and they're otherworldly. They feel like they've seen things. So I quickly dismissed any direction I was given about, like, please stick to period instruments, and said, well, why? Like, you got this weird thing that's holding a bunch of horse heads. You have, this guy that's all very Baroque, and
Right,
you got, other things. I don't want to spoil alert anything. So, but I felt like the demons was really where you could really open things up. So I think I think the first thing I did were some of the micro themes. Using the traditional cello, and I definitely thought about they're all of the same family, so they need to kind of relate. So American's theme is I don't remember what it is now, but there was that, and then if you take Volum's theme is kind of the inverse of that, and then Mika, who is married, is in a different instrument, but she's Inuit, so it's a little bit different, but kind of related. And then the two children are kind of off on their own. But it was intentional. And then the Maven's theme is all kind of related to that. So all of them are very simple 5-note little motives that could kind of interconnect if I had thought about that in the beginning, which I did a little bit.
Right.
But then the demons were like fair game. So you have Vergild, which is the first demon, or the second demon, I guess, that you face.
Is it the gold medal one?
The gold weird like flower,
right?
So cool.
And he's supposed to be kind of calculating and like a negotiation master and kind of slick and sly. So it was my initial everything for us creatively starts from I dare you. So like we try to, like in the beginning, try to really swing for the fences and like do something like this may or may not. This is either going to be the most brilliant thing we do, or
we're kicked off the project.
Yeah, we're going to get kicked off. What do we got to lose? What's the worst that can happen is what Kat always says. So I did this Wergill thing where it was very calculated and it was like mechanical. I'm using this paired piano and there was metal and there was bells and it was ka-chunk, ka-chunk. And it would like, the cadence of it was getting longer and longer. So it'd start 4/4 and then it would be 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, and then it like set. And so it was like compositionally very kind of cool and very metally and put it in the game, and everybody hated it. So like you have to like,
no,
you do that and you try to do things. And I think there was an inkling of, an idea there which was stuck with, but it wasn't, right on. And it was a little distracting, which is like, I know.
Cool.
I want it to be distracting, but it was very different from what they thought should be in the game.
Right.
Maybe they were right. Maybe they were wrong. I don't know, but we changed it. And it eventually, became what it is now, which is still, not like traditional instruments. It's still like prepared piano and weird things and a little bit of synthesizer, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I don't remember the question was, but let's play the clip.
There's a lot of cool music in the game, especially Chris. You know this. I've already praised you on
I
this.
just like when she compliments me because it never happens.
It happens. I am just really critical about things. I'm sorry, but especially later down the line, like there was a moment where Chris made a track. I was reviewing it, and I had to turn off my camera because like I started crying because it was like he found it. It's like one of those moments where like he found the sound, the sound that he was looking for, the sound that is not necessarily quantized, the sound that feels right for the game, where it's both raw and interesting and unique to both Chris and the game. Because I think that's something that we struggle with as creatives. Sometimes you match too closely to what a dev might be having in their mind, where we forget, like, hold on, audio is our realm. Like, let us help bring you some ideas and show you what it can become. Let us help elevate your idea. That moment where it's like I could hear it in Chris's piece. I'm like, oh no, what are these feelings? Yeah, it was a time.
It's nice when you find that.
I'm a sensitive creature.
No, totally. It's nice when you find that spot where you really captured the vibe, and there's nothing else like it. Like
Yeah.
okay, like we're really not in cookie cutter realm. This is so meant for this project. It couldn't fit in any other project. That's how specific it is.
I think
Mhm.
even beyond that, like when you see your teammate find something where it clicks for them, it's, to me, it's so rewarding, because projects, they come and go, but watching your friends, like, that's right, I called you a friend, watching your friends
F-word.
Publicly.
grow, especially when they've been in the floppy disk era, like when they've grown and like unlock this new potential in themselves, I think is so incredibly rewarding to like be able to witness.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
yeah.
cry.
Hell yeah.
I have
Interesting. Thank you,
feelings.
Kat. Like
Yeah,
the,
okay.
I went to school for this, and one of the best compliments, or maybe not best compliments, one of the best criticism Kat has ever given me on a track was like, this sounds like you're writing it to impress your other composer friends. And it was so spot on, where it was like, oh yeah, I'm using all these weird like techniques, but I've forgotten like the purpose of this is to write music for this thing, not like these people or whatever. It's meant for this moment. And a lot of this game, I think the best stuff on it was me to stop thinking about the thing. And I mean, there's a track in there I made. Another dare was, hey, Chris, can you make an instrument for this game? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. So I made this table harp, which you can see kind of at the top of the frame.
Oh, it's been there the whole time. The call is coming from inside the room.
Hidden stone.
He's watching me. But one of my best tracks was like, I was like, all right, this has to sound like there's something dire's happening, and we're supposed to run to it. And there's life and death kind of thing. So I just got on that thing and just started going, rah, 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 rah. And it wasn't until I had tuned it or anything, I just started playing it. And I started playing it like it was crying. It was like, rah, yeah. And I was taking the tuning thing, and I don't know what key it's in. Then I just started hitting it, and that became the track. And it was like, I put it in the game. The best thing you can do, by the way, is just put it in the game and then see what happens. Instead of like, what do you guys think of this? But put it in the thing and let them discover the moment.
In context, yeah.
It was, and I think that was probably the first cue where they were like, okay, they get it. Like they understand what the sound of this is. And it was literally me forgetting like the technique of it. Like, oh, what instrument should I use? What key should it be in? What's the tempo? It was just like, let me play this thing because this is what I feel. And that actually
That's so
became the
interesting
tech.
in that, like, because we were talking about themes before. It's like sometimes a theme could just be a choice of an instrument. It could just be a sound. Like, that is the theme. And I assume that it's this instrument, but I think it's the moment when you're like doing the sort of the card pact where you're switching card decks, or I'm really butchering the explanation of that gameplay mechanic. Where you just hear like someone sawing off someone's head. And literally, that's what I thought. Someone's getting their head sawed off right now.
That was the track that made Cat cry. Like that was during the ritual.
Oh, that's
right?
it. Okay,
That's the one.
Well, it's a whole thing. So there's that whole
Sawing off heads makes me emotional.
Dirty.
You're doing the pact exchange, which it is like the table harp, and I have a hurdy-gurdy, which I played too, so it might be that. One of the things I did though was like hard pan. Like everything. So like, and it was supposed to represent, again, the composers and roll their heads. But did you really think of this? But it was supposed to represent like the duality of like, oh, you're negotiating. So it's like players here, demons here, and that's how it is on the board, right? The players on this side, demons on this side. So the player stuff happens here, demon stuff happens here. So that's why you get this
cool
kind of like distracting, just two different instruments in your ears.
Well, it really makes you in that moment feel like, okay, shit, I have to make this this decision, and it better be a good decision.
Yeah.
Because you're getting your
Thank
head
you.
chopped off. And maybe that panning is the saw just chopping off your head.
You're like, I got to get out of this room quick.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It really felt that way, which is really interesting because this is a card. What's the name? Card game? Deck builder game.
Yeah.
A turn-based deck builder game. So there's a shit ton of time to just do absolutely nothing.
Mhm.
Yet constantly the audio and sound is just making you feel like, okay, move on. Let's not stay here too long because I'm going to die.
That was actually a game pillar, was to actually not rush the player. But then it's as all games happen, as you're developing things, it changes because it's like, okay, it's like maybe we do need to push it, like, because it gets boring, like just sitting there.
Yeah, and you don't want to have like a timer because then that's like visually oppressive to a player.
Yeah.
So how can we hint to a player like, okay, what you've done is complete, move on.
Yeah. Cool. Right.
Games are wild.
Games are wild, man. Like, it's crazy. And it's especially like, it's those small things that are like, yeah, you really are supporting the game design, supporting the narrative with things that absolutely have no difference to the player, in that if they didn't hear it, the game is all the same, right? It's what card do I pick? That's all it is, right? But this subconscious layer is changing like everything. I mean, that's like the power of what audio does for games right there.
Yeah, sometimes people are like, oh, well, you're doing something completely different from your degree. It's like, am I really? It's all psychology.
Totally.
And we're all children here. So.
All, yeah. Just
yes, Dan.
little
you
kids.
as well.
Okay, cool. No, good to know.
Yeah.
Let me
You
just feel. Yeah,
especially.
okay. No, Skull says so. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I mean, okay, we're talking a lot about the thinking behind designing, creating, the whole creative side of things. But if we zoom back and look at the tech side of things, because after all, making a game is always like very technical. Wondering, like, what were the tools you guys were using? It was done in Unreal, I'm guessing?
Unreal. Yeah, it was
Okay.
vanilla Unreal 5.
Like, for the audio too?
Yes.
Okay, how'd that go?
Went fantastic. So I had to. So like I said, Gretchen was, she built a lot of the music things, the how to play back and how to save was the big thing, because you can save the game anywhere, and the micro theme system. But we had to put stuff on top, so they called me in, or actually they didn't call me. They were stuck with me, who has enough technical ability to really screw things up. So the ritual, there were two like problems in this game that we were trying to solve. Like, one was the ritual, the map, and how the music works there. And if you listen to it, it's really the same piece of music all the way through it until you go out into a battle. But you'll go into these rooms and it switches a little bit because it's switching a layer. So it's like, all right, you got the bass, like Passacaglia or whatever you might call it, a canon, playing the same thing. You go into the room and it's really just crossfading into another thing, playing the exact same thing, but it might have a different layer on it. It might drop out the bass. It might do something a little bit different depending on what room you're in.
Okay.
And actually in the bargaining, it goes in and it hits the chord progression. And then there's random things playing. So it's randomly playing the left and right side, representing the bargaining happening, the back and forth of the thing. And then you go back out. So most people, I hope Dan Reynolds is listening because he's going to hate this. Most people would do that in Blueprint using quartz and like having it like timed and doing the thing. Mine's all one meta sound. So it's the whole thing, the whole meta sound, if you look at it, is like, because there's
this is the true killing stone.
Like,
it's
like,
Chris.
Oh, my joke.
It's like 8 or 10. This is like, just like I'm like 30 years into this industry. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's
it
okay.
works.
And it's fine. Yeah.
If it works, it works.
There's like, I'm going to say 8 tracks all playing at the same time at all times.
Stop.
And they're getting
Okay.
crossfaded into each other using a trigger. So it's like there's a metronome. So there's a gate that's always like hitting a thing going so that we know what the time is because it's all in the same tempo. But then when the gate opens, it just and it goes, click on that. So it clicks on that and it'll do a crossfade between whatever's supposed to be playing. So there's like 10 triggers that come in that are triggered throughout the whole ritual and says, okay, this is, you're going into bargaining. So it hits the bargaining trigger and it goes,
Interesting. Okay.
and then it hits the bargaining trigger and it crossfades everything out
Right.
except for that one thing. And then starts that up. And then do
Right, 'cause
another
it's
thing.
interesting. It's not
crossfades
like-
that out, bargaining out, and cross back into the general ritual. It's all just crossfades. And the reason it's like that,
Dan's gonna
it's 'cause
throw
I
up.
did-
No. I'm like,
Love it.
I'm vibing with this.
it's all one meta sound, like crossfading between wave players. Oh, the other thing I like abhor is loops that you have to loop in your DAW to loop. So there are no loops. There are 2 players playing at the same time.
Oh no.
Check this out. 2 players playing at the same time. When it gets kind of to the end, and it knows because I tell it how many beats it is, and I
Right.
tell it what the tempo is.
Yeah.
It continues to play that, but it triggers the next wave.
Which is the
So then I
same.
didn't have to loop it. Like it continues to play and fades out.
You
It's
sort of
basically
like
the
fade
Y
one out.
system.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I did it in Unreal, so it's like fading that out, but it's starting out of that. So I didn't have to loop anything in my dumb DAW and make sure that worked. And it made it.
Oh man. There's
it
something
made it
so
so
cool
I
about what
could-
you're saying there. I don't want to cut you off. I just feel like working with a small team and having like not necessarily like the every tools at your disposal.
Yeah,
To me, it sounds so cool because coming up with those solutions that like, okay, perf is not an issue in this situation for the type of game you were making. So
Yeah.
why over-engineer something? And then you're
Exactly.
empowered with what you're doing because you have all the
kinda
tracks all the
nailed-
time.
you really nailed it. That there's nothing else going on, like sonically, like you're looking at a map. So it's like having that many sounds playing isn't that big a deal in this day and age. So I was okay with that. It is stupid. It's a stupid way to do it. So nobody should do that. But what made it nice to do it to where there are no loops, I can then also just go into any other kind of weird thing. Because there is a metronome and it would just fade out that other thing and it would fade in something else completely unrelated. And it would kind of work. You just put a big slam on it to cover it up.
Right.
But yeah, that's the ritual map in a nutshell. It was like one meta sound.
Oh, so
doing
it's,
all
ju-
these
it's just the
things.
map, though. Like when you're saying this one meta
map.
sound, like as
Yeah.
soon as you get into a battle or you're in the map, that those are separate meta sounds, right?
What it's talking about, the map is the ritual. It's really
Yeah, the map
contract,
itself. Yeah,
the
yeah.
paper thing. Yeah,
That's cool.
Because you're following a path, and then you're going into different rooms, but they're all related. So
Yeah.
it's all the same music,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it had to blend together and seem like the same piece of music. That's just changing. That's
When
the
you go
most
in battle, it stops the meta sound and it goes into like this
Correct.
other music system. Okay.
The battle music used my same. I don't want to make loops. So once I created that system I created the battle system first, whereas like it plays an intro, then it goes into a loop, and then what's interesting for most of the game. So sometimes we're getting to nobody stuck around this long, so I won't be able to say that to nobody will hear it. Sometimes you get lazy.
Okay,
by the
yeah.
time, like you've created a system that's too complicated for what it's accomplishing. So like you're like, all right, it used to be where it did this thing. Anyway, but let me slow down and talk about the battle system because it's actually interesting. It's doing an intro and it goes into a loop, but then when it's the demon's turn, there's a layer to it. So it's supposed to say like on the player side, demon starts and then there's different music, but it's got a blend. So in some cases it actually triggers another loop. That's when I got lazy. And it would it's like another piece of music and then it goes back into the player side.
As opposed to just a layer getting added, it would completely
Exactly.
swap.
The beginning,
music,
that's what it
right?
was. It was
Okay.
like, okay, I'm going to write this music. And then when the demon side comes in, that he's going to have a special melody. And you can hear that on radio.
Right,
It
right,
plays
right.
a different instrument.
Yeah.
And then it goes back. And
In
it
a
blurs
perfect
that
world
out.
kind of thing.
I'm sorry, what was that?
In a perfect world, that's what you would have wanted, I guess?
That would have been
Yeah.
all the systems in a perfect world.
Well, I think that makes sense for Weregild because of the type of character he is. Like with some of the others, I don't think they'd be like, let me let you know it is my turn. They would just be like, blah, 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 throughout the whole thing. So
Yeah, and in some cases it didn't work because of the type of music. So One Eye, who is the devil, like that's very Baroque inspired, and it's harpsichord kind of and orchestra-ish. And I had this. His main instrument's a violin. Like he's represented by a violin. He even plays a violin. But I had this violin melody, and I think I still have it in some of it, but it just didn't work as well as it did with Weregild because it was this. You expect to hear a line when you're playing violin. With Weregild, it was just percussion-y kind of thing. So it was okay for it to be disjointed. And that actually fit the character as well. Right. Whereas One Eye is supposed to be kind of seductive, and it's supposed to be flowy, and it didn't work as well for that. So I somewhat abandoned that idea. But there is different music, I think, when he plays like as a demon.
Right.
The other demons, actually, it does it for Neath as well. Like there's a layer that gets added on. So maybe I did do okay.
I think you did.
You did all right.
I think you did that for the others.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been so long ago since we worked on it, but it hasn't. Just
It's been
time
like a
is
month.
so strange for developers, I think.
I mean, one way to know if you guys did well with the tech and everything and the implementation of stuff is, how did the mix go? Was it painful? Was it joyful? Was there a mix?
There was a mix in the sense that there are mixers in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean a mixed phase of like making sure everything sounds in line with
We tried
the
to
vision
do
and
that
stuff.
as we went. We
Yeah.
haven't
Okay.
actually done a final mix.
Yeah,
So we did have some standards of how loud things would go into the game. But a
Like
true
when you
mix.
pet an animal, it should be loud as fuck.
Hell yeah. Let me hear that beard scratch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It makes sense that sort of mix as you go, especially because, hey, this is a game in early access. So it's never done. And actually it's a pretty interesting thing, this idea of mixing post release,
Yeah. If you put a limiter on the master and just bump everything by 10 dB, is that
mixing? If a tree falls and no one's around, yeah.
It's all
I mean, I
about
think
like the
also-
intent
So
behind
yeah,
it.
there is a mix.
I think also like when you have a small team and you're moving so fast, if you're not testing the game regularly and checking to make sure like, hey, is this kind of moderately okay, then you got a problem.
Well, I guess on
Always
that
check your work.
yeah,
Always check your
100%.
work.
Always check it, because you never know when you put that one asset in that's just too amazing. You'll make Cat
yeah.
cry. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Cry some kidney stones.
Yeah.
The kidney crier.
Okay, well, actually, there's one thing, because we're getting ready to wrap things up. There's a couple of questions left, but I have to mention it because we've brought it up a million times. But what did you use the skulls for?
Yeah.
Oh, tappy tap. Just moral support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Moral support?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't let that slide. How?
We all just
Like-
accepted that for a second there. We're
Thank
like,
you.
it felt
It's just
weird.
like,
Totally.
Gertie,
Yeah.
is this cool? Gertie's like, hey.
Hell yeah. Keep on doing
So
it.
it speaks to you. Okay.
So you bought more than just
Yeah,
skulls for this game.
I love finding source that feels appropriate for a game. If there's, a method actor type for sound design, maybe that's me. Like, I bought coins from the 17th century and paper from around that time period as well, and odds and ends to like kind of use for
right, okay.
material type sounds and yada yada, even though they're like super subtle.
Yo,
Things
no,
that people won't know, things that people won't care about, but it
What's
brings
the-
me joy.
What's the best paper to get that old
Oh,
that
okay.
old
Well,
paper
I
sound?
mean,
Yeah.
it'll take me a while. So at first, I thought it would be. So on Pentiment, I did the same thing. I love unnecessary stuff. Like I bought a whole bunch of herbs that you like shake in the game. No one's gonna know they're the correct herbs in general, but like. I went to a witch shop. I'm like, hey, gang, I'm looking for these. And they're like, we got you, babe. There's so many witchy stores here in Austin, which I love.
Nice.
But what was the question? Oh, paper. So I thought paper made from goat skin was going to be the thing, but that wasn't apparently the thing that they had in the 17th century. They'd already transitioned
Okay.
to like different types of paper. I'm like, oh, so that's cool.
Right.
I also have this amazing fear of like, well, if I buy this paper, I don't want to like bastardize it if it like has some historical value or like, you know, some kind of thing, because so that's another thing. If there are people here that also like looking for source material, also make sure that you're buying from people that aren't like, this is a rare book that I have torn up for blah 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 purposes. People that use things for like junk journaling or stuff like that, really great to like look
Right,
at.
yeah. Cool.
Catthoughts.com, real site. I should add ads to that so I can make some money.
Good.
Well, let us know. We'll blast them into the
thank
edit.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love it. They're like, what does this have to do with anything? You're like, don't worry about it. Don't worry.
Okay, I mean, it feels like this is a good spot to get to the final question. The final question games. No, okay, that's too much. So
Too real.
whoever wants to go first, what would be one piece of advice you'd like to give your past self as you hopped on the project now that you've seen it all the way through the released early access?
So you're early in the project, and you're
We're
like,
gonna edit the clock sound.
you're talking to your previous
I'll
self.
give you
Stab.
Do you have something?
Go for it.
I'll go first, I guess.
Yeah.
I think this is maybe like, what did you learn on this game?
Yeah, that's the goal.
This is the first game Kat and I have worked on together pretty closely. So I think I learned a lot from her, like observing like how she does stuff. And one thing she is excellent at is being a team advocate and a team I don't even have the words for it because I'm such not this.
Team player.
But she goes in. I mean, you see how weird she is.
I'm
And
sorry.
she goes in and she cares about every single team member. So like as I'm on a call, like at a stand up, I'm just listening and like I give my stand up. She's back channeling everybody, saying, "Hey, what is that back there? I see you do Capoeira or whatever it is, or Capoeira." And I was like, so she knows that whole team
Capoeira.
more than like, oh, this is what they do. This is who they are. Like she learns who people are and what they are about and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I'm like, I'm writing the music and then I'm going home. But the importance as a not only just a creative, but also like a creative who is also a contractor, the importance of doing that kind of deep team building is probably maybe even more important than the work you're delivering. Like being a person you can work with and somebody who will be remembered after you have worked with them, and developing those relationships like as you're doing them, like just as a person, is more important in life in general than the work you're handing over. So that my advice to me would be more like, hey, like maybe talk to somebody every now and then. Not to
So
talk
true,
to them, but you know what I mean? Like I didn't go deep into like getting to know the team as well as that I should have. And I haven't ever really. It's something that now I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And what maybe I should be doing.
Well, I mean, it's such a important part. And like you said, like, we're all like focused on our craft that we forget to communicate, because I mean, to make a game, you have to communicate, because you need to know what should be done, how to do X, Y, and Z. And it makes it that much easier when you can get along with somebody, if you can sort of ask them questions, poke people's brains. It's a lot harder if you're not close to somebody and they're a bit of a stranger to you. So having that communication is super important.
Yeah, Kat, I feel like when I started at Team Audio, like you were basically the first person that had stuff for me to do with. So I was like, okay, cool. It was super fun. And then I was like, okay, Kat is the living embodiment of that super cringy phrase, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
I was like,
she's the epitome of that phrase.
I'm the cringe. Thank you. The cringe of Team Audio.
Good cringe.
Yeah, non-derogatory, I guess, is what the cool kids say.
Non-derogatory cringe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, gang. I'm uncomfortable.
Internet went down again. Whoops. No.
How strange. I will answer the question you had, Dom, of what was the question? Oh, what did we learn?
Yeah.
What did we learn?
Yeah, the postmortem in a gist.
Yeah.
So similar to Chris, since we had not worked together before, there's quite a bit I learned from him, whether I wanted to learn or not. Like, first of all, I didn't know about the region matrix in Reaper, and like, oh shit, gang, that helped me so much. But more importantly, my palms are sweaty. This is uncomfortable. More
Mom's
importantly, I learned, yeah, mom's spaghetti. I learned, it's fine. Your sound is gonna be bad. It's fine.
Yeah.
Your sound's gonna be fine. Oh, it's going to get better. It's fine too. And you can always want something to sound better, but sometimes it's just where you are at your current spot in your skill set and experience, and you can't rush experience.
Totally.
For me, because so many of the things that I do is usually on projects, I'm either doing production or I'm doing audio direction. It's been a hot minute since I've been able to do actual sound design on a project. So there was that fear. I'm always just a nervous person, believe it or not. I'm just always super self-critical and nervous on projects of like, oh my gosh, I really think so-and-so should have been on this project because they would have done great. I think, oh, this person would have been stellar on it because they could learn all this stuff. And for me as an individual, it's been important being reminded, hey, you can prioritize your own growth and your own struggles too.
Yeah.
And so Chris has been pretty good about that. So
no,
I mean, it sounds really cheesy, but it's the truth. You kind of forget that you also have the that you also can prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Easily forgotten, you need to have a healthy outlook on something. You can be the best sound designer, and if you don't have a healthy outlook on a project, all these intrusive thoughts, I feel like I'm in therapy. Intrusive thoughts, they can get the best of you, and you can do a bad job despite you being an amazing sound designer. It's about managing that and being like, okay, I'm fine where I am, Yeah, like that. I like the mentality of a snapshot of this is where my designs are at. This is where my music's at, and
also the understanding of who are you doing this for? This is for the player.
Right.
Who does it serve? The player. Does the player get the intent? That's really all that matters. Like maybe person X at a studio is like, wow, that sounded like shit. That's fine. Like, did it convey what the player wanted to hear?
Yeah.
Will it at least mean something to someone, like one random person out of like a bajillion folks? Will it resonate with them and they really love it? Yeah. And I think that's like the most romantic thing ever, realizing that with games and especially with audio, that we can make that really strange connection with a player.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a bunch. Have a super fine day. To make this bye-bye awkward, I'll say stay on a bit after, because Riverside, and we should have told you this before, but Riverside needs you to stay on before it's done uploading.
Oh.
So we'll have like a fake goodbye right now. take care. Have an amazing rest of your day, and thank you for joining us.
Have a good life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice stones.
All right.
Looking for more audio-related podcasts to listen to? We're part of the Audio Podcast Alliance, featuring a hand-picked selection of the very best podcast about sound. Be sure to hear the latest episodes from our friends in the community at audiopodcast.org.